Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be continuing my series in the Python lessons with a part 4. So in this video, I'm going to be entirely talking about loops. And this is because loops are very important and they are one of the most fundamental concepts in Python. So I'm going to be making another video about loops because they're that important. And I'm going to be talking more in depth in a different video about loops. But for this video, I'm going to be just giving you like a brief overview on like how to use loops and how to I'm going to be telling you like basically what a loop is and the syntax for it and how to use it and stuff like that and a few examples. So I'm going to be talking about what is a loop, when to use a loop, and the types of loops. Then I'm going to be going into the syntax for those types of loops and things you can do with them. And then I'm going to be talking about some things called loop keywords that you can use. So first of all, what is a loop? A loop in Python is a block of code that's repeated a number of times. Loops can be used to run or repeat multiple lines of code without having to retype similar lines again and again. So, when should you use a loop? You should use a loop when you need to repeat something multiple times. For example, if you want to make a game and there are multiple players, let's say there's like 4. If you want to greet them, like saying like hi player 1, hi, hello player 2, and hello player 3, and so on, instead of printing that line by line, you can make a loop where you have a list of their names. And we already learned about lists. A list of their names, and you can loop. You can like print each item of those of that list repeatedly. And so you can like move to the next item using a loop, and that would print the same output in a cleaner and easier way for you and the computer to understand. So why should you use a loop? Loops are great if you want to do something over and over again, but don't want to like type everything out. When loops are used, it's easier and faster for the computer to process and output. And you can also use loops in a lot of cases in your coding. Even though loops are usually used in like games or like even like large pieces of code, you can still make smaller programs using loops. So there are 2 different types of loops, a for loop and a while loop. Both of these loops are used, but one is better in a different situation because they're easier to compute by the computer, or because it takes less lines of code and it's more simple, but still achieves the same end goal. But in most situations, you can make both of those types of loops work. It just matters about your preference. The first type, let's get into the first type of loop. The first type of loop is a for loop. And a for loop is used to iterate, meaning move over a for loop is used to move over a sequence of items such as a list, string, or a range of integers. And there's a function called range which I'm going to explain. So a for loop loops for a set amount of times. So for example, let's start with the first one. The first syntax is for variable in range, and I said range is a function, so that requires a parentheses, and you have to input 2 parameters. One is the from number, and the second is the to number, and then if you repeat something based on that. So let's get into here. Let's go into Python 3. So we can start by saying um 4, because that's the for loop. So for variable. Now we just need to choose a variable. Usually a good one for if you're using range is X or I. And so you can even use J. But you can use anything for this variable. Just these, one of these are preferred more than the other. Preferred than other variables. So let's do for X in. You have to use that keyword in. And now we use our function range. And then you add a colon. So this is our base syntax. But now we have to enter parameters from the range. So range is like it's a range like iterates like over a range of numbers from, let's say, 1 to 100. So let's say we want to start at 1. So the start number is 1, comma, and now what do you want to end it with? Let's say you want to end it with 20. 1 to 20. Now you can't just do this. It'll just print 1 to 19 because the range function always goes from the start number to the end number minus 1. So that's why we have to put 21 instead of 20. So let's for X in range 1 comma 21 instead of 20, and you put your colon and you click enter. Now you need to tab it because there's a block, so we need to put it in the block. So this is what happens. Let's say we want to print X. So you have to put X in parentheses. So this line of code, these lines of code basically means for X in range. So X is a variable that's going into range of from 1 to 20. So X will equal 1, and then when you come back, the range function automatically increases by 1. So the X will be equal X plus 1. So then X will equal to 2, and then you keep doing that until X is 20, and it'll keep printing. So if we hit return here, it prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So that is how that works. Now we'll for X in list. Now we're gonna use a list instead. But before we do that, let's try something. For X in range 1 comma 21. Let's say you want to print something more different. Let's say you want to print hello, and you want to print hello X. You can't just do this. You have to put a you have to put a placeholder. So that's you can use percentage %s, and percentage is a shift 5. And once you do that, you just have to say percentage X. And now it prints hello 1, hello 2, hello 3, hello 4, all the way up to hello 20. So that is now that we just ran a simple program that we created. So now we'll move on to using lists. So if you want to use a list, you have to do this. It's a similar syntax. So it's a for. Let's first before that, let's make a list. List is equal to in square brackets. Remember square brackets. 1. Let's just make it let's make it the alphabet. A, B. Oh no. Oh wait. List is equal to, let's redo that. A, comma, B, C, D. Only those. Okay, so now because we have our list. For item. Item is usually used for these lists because item is the name of each one. Because like the first item, the second item. So for item in list, because it's for every item, which is your variable, for item in every value of in that list. So for item in list, colon, print item. So that basically it loops through every single item of that list and prints out the value. So we'll see what happens. A, B, C, D. So that's exactly what we wanted it to print. So that is how for loops work. Now, while loops. In Python, a while loop is used to execute a block of statements repeatedly until a given condition is false. So it's not a set amount of times. It just until a condition is false. So, and when the condition becomes false, the line immediately after the loop in the program is executed. This is important when you don't know when to exactly stop the loop. So here's the syntax. While condition do something. So we'll take an example. Print the integers from 1 to 20. That should be easy. So while we wanted to print integers from 1 to 20. So while condition. So we have to make a variable called x. Let's say x is 0 because we start with 0. We have to make a variable x is because while doesn't start with a variable while doesn't start with a variable to begin with. So you have to create your own variable. So if x is equal to 0, while x is less than or equal to 20. So basically this means while x is less than or equal to 20. So while less than or equal to 20? Yes, that's true. And it keeps repeating that until it's false. So here's the thing. If you make it while x is greater than or equal to 20, that it won't even run the loop because that's going to be false because x is not greater than or equal to 20 because that's a condition. So we have to do like this. And then you add a tab because you're pushing the block. And now you have to do print. Let's say you want to print it. So you just say print x. Then here's the thing. It'll just this will basically be an infinite loop. And that's because x is not increasing every time. So it keeps going to the top thinking x is 0. So to fix this, you have to say x is equal to x is equal to x plus 1. So now this will increase it until it's 20, and if it's equal to 20, once it's past 20, it's going to stop. So now let's try it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way to 20. So it prints 0 because x was initially 0, and we printed that. Yeah. Now, let's try printing all the odd integers from 1 to 100. So x is equal to 0 again, because in the previous problem, x was now 20 because we kept adding to it. So let's just refresh x is equal to 0. So now, because x is equal to 0, now we want to print all the odd numbers. Because we know x is 0, so while x is less than or equal to 100. So, if we have to use an if statement to check if it's even. If x divided no, we don't even need to use an if. Just say print x is equal to x plus 2 because we know x starts with 0, and if you add 2 it's going to be an even number all the time. So just x is equal to x plus 2. Now we have yes, this is correct. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, all the way, all the even numbers. So now we are going into conditional keywords. This is very important. So, as I said, a forever loop. You can a forever loop. To make a forever loop, the most basic way is if you say while true, and true basically means true is always true, so it's always gonna repeat. So it's a forever loop. So first we're gonna talk about the first conditional keyword, break. Break is used to exit or leave out of a loop. For example, let's make an example here. While true forever with a colon, if x is if x is equal to 2, no, let's make it 20, print by and break. Oh, let's redo that. Break. So, break. Oh, you just type break. Oh, oops, my bad. Let me clean all of this before we redo it. Python 3. Okay. While true, forever, if x is equal to 20, print goodbye. And break. Else, x is equal to x plus 1. And I forgot x is equal to 0. I forgot to do that. So let's redo it one more time. And x is equal to x plus 1. So it just prints a by at the end because it keeps doing that. So instead, so yeah, it should print by at the end and exit. So basically what it's doing, it keeps doing it. So x is equal to 0. If x is not equal to 20, so it skips the if and moves to the else. X is equal to x plus 1. So it prints nothing at all. And it keeps doing that till x is true. X is equal to 20. And then it prints by, and then it breaks. So we can tell it works if we copy this. We can copy this, and let's repaste it. Never mind. Oh, you get the point. So it works. Yeah. So that's the first one. Next is continue. Continue is used when you want to go back to the top. Like, if you just want to, like, if you have two things, like, look at this example. While true, if a condition is true, do something and continue, meaning it'll skip the else and it'll go back to the top and redo it. So, yeah. If you're saying while true, while true, if, uh, So we have to define x. X is equal to 0. While true, let's say if x is equal to 20, again, we'll just take the same example. Print high. Okay. We print high. Continue. Else x plus 2. No, we're gonna make it minus 2. And no matter what, x plus 2. So now this will not work. And there's a reason. So because of this, it keeps doing this. X is equal to x plus 2. It's not equal to 20, and it keeps doing that. So if we do the same thing, x is equal to x and x plus 4, it'll just print high, and it doesn't break because it's a forever loop. So the point is so the point here is that that it keeps going to the top, and continue, when you use continue, it just goes back to the top of the top of the loop. Yeah, it just goes to the very top of the loop without doing anything underneath the continue. And a reminder is that all the keywords are not functions, so do not put parentheses. And all both the keywords are always lowercase. This is very important because you'll get an error if you do otherwise. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and yeah. And don't post the answers in the comments. There are no questions. But if you do have questions, just type them in the comments, and I will take a look. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.